Are we going to be able to do some TTR shout outs too?
I guess so. Who are we going to shout out to? Dave Zimmerman. So I had to give you, when you started asking questions about starting your own authority, because I'm leased onto a carrier, I didn't have any idea about how that went. So I had to give you to Zimster 2033, ZMSTER 2033 is his handle, which is Dave Zimmerman on TTR, and he's the other success story that started out from an office cubicle and went to own authority, now has almost 3 trucks and going. So I put you in touch with him, and you chatted with him about about a 3-hour chat about getting your own authority.
3-hour chat on the phone. I don't know if Dave knew what he was getting into when I called him, but I didn't know what I was getting into either. And talk about phenomenal help, like literally walking me through, because people are paying other people to file their authority for them. And I had gone to the website and I was a little confused, and Dave was like, oh, you got to do this, and this. Just follow it along. You'll get through it. It might take you a little while, but read everything. You'll be fine. If you have any questions, call me. And I sat down probably the next day and started trucking through that.
Long process to go through.
Yeah, but
you can do it yourself.
Exactly. Why pay somebody? There's people charging thousands of dollars for this crap. Some are cheaper, but if you let somebody else do it for you, you have no idea what you have to have with you most of the time. Somebody's going to hand you a binder. You get pulled into a scale. What's in the binder unless you pay attention?
Right.
You might look at a form and be like, where did that come from? It happens to me still. But I did everything, every step of the way. The only thing I paid somebody to do was the New York hut the first time.
Yep.
And New Mexico, because their websites suck. I did Oregon on my own after I asked some questions on TTR. And I actually called Oregon. And if you guys ever get on Oregon's website and you get lost in there, call them. The lady that I had was phenomenal. Walked me through everything, explained everything. Within a short period of time, I had my authorization to go into Oregon. She explained how to do it online. First time I went to Oregon was 0 problems. And it was just phenomenal.
Strangely enough, when you call a lot of these, Arkansas DOT is one of them for ordering your own permits. You can order them yourself for $15. Give them the ticket number off your last permit order, and all the dimensions are already in there. $15, and oftentimes they'll just tell you don't need a permit, just flag it and go for long loads. Or some, I'm sure there's some states out there that are difficult to deal with, but oftentimes you can pick up the phone and call them, like most people are scared to do so, and get some help.
Yeah, they're awesome. And then Kentucky's easy. Kentucky's got the best website in my opinion. It's easy to do your Kentucky numbers. So I did all that on my own, except for those 2 states, Oregon, New Mexico, and I'm from New Mexico.
Why did you choose an old truck? Why didn't you go for a newer truck with finance?
Well, I had actually done a bunch of research on the DEF systems and all that crap, and I just decided I didn't want to risk that. DEF failures, the one box system that people talk about, sensors going out, I just
coming from an aircraft background, did you feel comfortable with an older truck because they're simpler to work on?
Pretty much. I've paid to have somebody do a few things on this, but that was because some of the stuff that I've paid for, it's not like I'm going to drive until I'm 95 and I'm going to need to replace this again,
Yep.
So I'm like, well, why not spend $900 to have somebody fix this versus, $300-400 on a tool to do it, and then another $200-300 on parts myself and sit out in the driveway and do it.
Right.
Versus paying some dude that I trust to do it a couple $100 more and getting it done fast and right. And the things I've done, air compressor, I do that. I've built some lines for the truck.
External engine stuff.
Yeah,
dash stuff, interior stuff.
Yeah, I fixed a bunch of air leaks.
Yep.
my air conditioning system, I had to almost rebuild the actuators in there or replace them. And
learns you a lot about them.
What's that?
It learns you a lot about them.
And the TTR. You get on TTR and you start like
ask a dumb question.
It, TTR comes up. You start
all the time
going in there. You ask a couple questions, and next thing you know, you get a wiring diagram, or somebody will say, "Hey, that happened on my truck," and Peterbilt no longer sells the part, but here's the part number.
Here's the OEM number. You can go to Freightliner and get it, or
I Googled it and ordered it from like PeterbiltParts.com, and it cost $30-something. Boom.
Shout outs for anybody else on TTR. Who's helped you?
The flatbed guys.
Yep.
I appreciate those guys. There's some what I call rock stars that post their pictures on there even though they don't need to.
At Goody Snap.
Who's that?
At Goody Snap, he's the mechanic.
Oh, probably helped me with some blueprints or some wiring diagrams somewhere along the way.
There's a couple of mechanics and techs on there that'll go out of their way to send you diagrams and just give me the VIN number and I'll tell you what you need to know, and that's above and beyond what you'd normally find. Even trying to Google search stuff.
I enjoy the new guys too, though. Like I always read the old guys, or they're not necessarily old guys, they're not even as old as I am, but the experienced guys.
Yep.
So I love getting in there and reading from those guys that have experience, but I also like to read the new guys. There's new guys like God Prefers Diesels. That dude has done a lot of shit in his truck.
Yes, he has.
That I wouldn't tackle.
Hi at God Prefers Diesels.
I enjoy like when he posts that kind of stuff because it's like, damn, that's nice, saving himself money.
Yep.
Some of the stuff he's welded up and built for his trailer.
Yeah. A lot of talented guys on there. At CKE, another good one.
Yeah.
At Ruthless, obviously, Jono.
Ruthless has sent me pictures of his new trailer.
Yep. Jono's always at Ruthless is always willing to help.
Again, flatbed guys, a number of them will answer, and a lot of times you're reading a thread that has nothing to do with you, but it might be something you're going to haul 6 months from now, and you just read it. Even if you forget about it, it's in the back of your mind, and you can always try to go back, or if you remember the guy that posted it, there's a number of guys that are very prominent on the flatbed forum, and shout out to all the guys that say you can't do it.
Because you can.
I had somebody tell me because I wanted a Kenworth or a Peterbilt that I was going to fail, which, hey, I could fail tomorrow. Something bad could happen. I mean,
because you just wanted something cool going down the road with a big hood and chicken lights. Everybody hates chicken lights.
Well, back to the truck thing. They were having an auction in Fort Worth. Once I decided I was going to buy my own truck and trailer, I went down there to that auction and I crawled around, I don't know how many trucks and trailers, new ones, old ones, intermediate ones. How many 2013, 2014, 2015 trucks that had 300,000 miles that had check engine lights and sounded like dog crap? Like literally, like, whoa, no oil pressure, DEF systems torn apart and not even thrown back together, trucks at auction. And then you go down the line and there's an old 379 that was, 1997 model, fired up. Lo and behold, no check engine light.
Right.
And sometimes it'll say, has some blow by, or you can't trust the auction necessarily. So I probably would not buy a truck at an auction, but
I think you did pretty good with this one, buying it off at Diesel Dave. Because you were buying off a guy that had owned it for a long time, knew what the issues were with it.
Well, everybody was like, try to buy it from an owner-operator that has taken care of it. So Dave owned this truck for 13 years.
Yep.
And he bought it from his buddy. He's known the truck since it was new. I was talking to Dave not too long ago on the phone, and we kind of joked about what me and you talked about once, is there's shit that will happen to your truck that isn't a big deal to you, so you don't fix it right away, but you're going to take care of the things that make it move.
Yep.
And Dave definitely took care of those things. Like, as you know, I pulled an oil sample on that truck, and when I got the report back, I was like, holy shit,
Hiring City. Oh, thanks for the dust, bro. they're hiring CDLA drivers right now.
Yeah. That's a nice looking truck, though.
Oh!
That's an old Western Star. Boom.
Damn it, boy. Oh!
Look at
Oh! Ooh. Lord have mercy.
I did learn a lesson. If you slow down going through parking lots, your truck handles a little bit better.
Really, you wouldn't? Yeah, like 15 mile an hour, 20 mile an hour probably isn't the best thing for a.
Anybody that's ever been to that truck stop in Lamar, Colorado, that's right outside right after the way station. I can't remember the name of it. I stop there all the time. I pulled in there once. Turn. Boom! My bag jumped up in the air and flipped over. That didn't break my shock mounts though. Oklahoma did.
Oklahoma broke those.
But I learned a lesson. I pull in slow now. Like even here, I pulled in probably faster than I normally would because I didn't want to bore your audience to death with my slow ass driving.
There's quite a few potholes here. Would you have done anything differently? Are you happy with the progress so far, from going from basically an office cubicle or a teacher's position at 57 years old, gotten sick of that profession, and
look at what's happened. Wife in the hospital. Wife has now had like medical issues monthly. Like this is stuff that wasn't affecting her before I started driving her. I would not be driving today. Like I would just find something where I could stay home with her.
Yep.
Until we sort this thing out, I stay closer to home. I don't run as much, but I can literally, like, I'm different than a lot of guys that like you're big on numbers. Like I love when I see your spreadsheet and I'm like, holy shit, this guy bought a pack of gum December 3rd, 1992. I appreciate that, but my brain, like I would be like, I can't do that. So in my mind, what I do is I know how much my insurance is a month. I know like it's going to cost me now a little over $1 a mile. Distant fuel.
Yep.
All my other little incidentals, my ELD $40-something, which I can get it cheaper if I pay up front, but I'm like teetering on the edge of going to pay.
You know where your numbers are at, what you have to make at the end of the week or the end of the month, or at least the end of the quarter or
Right.
year to make it work, and it's working so far?
Yeah, I can. There's been times I've run 1 week, made 12 grand, boom, done. Not that I sit around the next week, but if I have to sit around or something goes down, I can. There's stuff that happens that sometimes we can't control, ice storms. My air compressor went out just before that ice storm we had. Was it last year?
Yep.
And then once the ice storm was over, I needed one part. All the dealerships were closed. I could not
Because of
get
the ice
part
storm. Yep.
for a week. So my truck literally sat for 2 weeks plus, and I called you on the phone like halfway through it, and I'm like, dude, I'm bleeding money. Like I'm dying here.
I said, no, you're not, bro.
Yeah, you're not. And you told me, I think your words were, it took me a long time to figure this out, but I'm not losing money. I'm just not making any.
Correct.
And those words, like literally sunk in, boom. I went inside, ain't shit we can do about it. The cat dealer says somebody might be there Monday or Friday or whatever. I'll go get the part then. For now, let's just chill.
Just chill out. Yeah.
And that's helped me ever since. Like I had eye surgery several months ago, it feels like.
Can't do nothing about that.
I couldn't do shit. I couldn't see. I had cataracts, but I had corrective vision years ago, and that complicated my eye surgery. So I would go in for a treatment, and then the next day I couldn't see shit, and then it would be the weekend, and then if I had time to go anywhere, it'd be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then I have another appointment on Thursday, and it was a strain mentally on me. But at the same time, I'd be like, I ain't making any money this week.
You're not running around wasting any fuel.
Exactly.
You're not making any money, but who cares?
The crappy part of that whole thing is the last fuel I bought was coming home. I bought fuel in Amarillo for $3.59 a gallon. Didn't really have to buy fuel. I did a couple of local runs and stuff. when I could see better.
$3.59. Was that like back in 1985?
The next time I bought fuel, it was.
Here he comes again. He's gonna. He wanted another round of it. Oh, ow!
He's hitting the same shit again.
Ow, dude! Ow!
Hey,
That's brand new equipment.
here's one thing.
Ow! Oh! At Banker, the car hauler, Alan. Oh, dude.
Here's one thing you can guarantee: that's not his shit.
No, I guarantee he's a company
He's
driver.
not paying for that.
Man,
If he was paying for that, he would slow down both times.
that is rough.
But, like, I mean, I did a couple of local runs, but mentally it was because I wasn't like, I wanted to stack money in the bank, but I couldn't, you know. And but it wasn't like I couldn't pay my bills or there was anything stressful going on. I just had the conversation with my wife today. It's like, we're doing okay, you know. We're not
Money
like
in the bank.
money in the bank.
Yep.
We've never touched our hard savings. I had my trucking money to start with. I've made, you know, I think my first year, I told you this, I ran 47,000 miles.
First year.
I'm not a super trucker. I'm like part-time. Some of that was forced on me. Some of it was probably me like, oh, I ain't gonna try to get anything today, you know. I'll wait till Monday or whatever. I actually like to pick up shit on Friday and run over the weekend and then pick up stuff coming home is my goal. Is this something I like to do? And then be home for a week or so. But I don't know. I made what, 132,000 my first year on 47,000 miles.
Yep.
I didn't drive myself crazy. The longest I've ever been gone was maybe 13 days once. I went to Oregon and kind of had to fight my way back, but it was one of the best trips I've ever been on. So, you know, this is not a sightseeing venture, of course, but it is.
It is kind of nice if you're at 57. Hang on a second. This will be a three-parter.
But
yeah, a bit of sightseeing is nice. I mean, you're 57. You haven't seen a lot of the country before now, really. So.
Well, I had been in the military, so I traveled the world. Like I've been
on a
Italy,
ship.
France.
On a ship in docks.
Yeah, but I got out too a little bit. But
Yep.
a lot of it is this old saying: "I saw the world from the inside of a bar." Like I drank a lot of those places. So literally, when you get off a ship and in Naples, Italy, or Trieste, Italy, or the Philippines, or Thailand, or Australia, guess what you're looking for? The first bar.
The first bar you
the-
can find.
And
Prettiest looking lady.
you just go, you know. And then once I got a little bit older, I did sightsee, but I'm like, God, man, once I got married, I'm like, I wish I could take my wife here. Whereas I had been to a lot of states, but I hadn't been through a lot of states. So like going to Oregon, you know, I got paid well to go there. I got paid okay to come back out of, I had to book a load in Idaho, but I had a load booked in Florida, and I got one of those sneaky broker deals where I ended up just saying, F you, I'm not gonna haul for you again. And found a load coming back. So I think going up there and back, fuel was a lot cheaper. I made probably 10 grand, maybe more. And I got to see part of Oregon that a lot of people never get to see even in their cars. I went up 20. Somebody just posted a thread about going up through there. And I had gone up through there last year through Santiam Junction and Sisters, Oregon, and along 126 going up through the mountains, and absolutely phenomenal. Like I would do it again in a heartbeat. I want to do it again. It was that good, like the scenery. And part of the trip I was empty, part of it while I was loaded, but I got a lot of experience on some of the hills there. And as you know, I didn't have hill driving.
Yeah, because I have to remember, you're still basically a rookie at 2 years of CDL driving experience. So even though you've got your own authority, your own truck and trailer.
There's guys in training at Prime that have more
experience
more miles
than
I
you
do. Like But that's okay. I mean, I don't. I pulled, like I told you, I pulled a lot of trailers in my life, different style trailers. I've actually pulled a fifth wheel with a bass boat attached to it at one time.
Oh, doubles.
Doubles.
Yep.
I should be able to go take my doubles test
endorsement and get it.
But you told me some things, and Gretchen told me some things that stuck with me big time. One of the things you told me is if you get somewhere and you're stuck or you don't think you can get out, just stop. Don't keep going.
Don't
stop.
panic.
Call the cops. They will help you out of there.
Yep.
That hasn't happened to me yet, but it could have. That always rings into me when I go somewhere. I pre-trip the shit out of stuff. So, I mean, I look at where I'm going, and I normally look at how I'm getting out, and I look at what I'm going to do if I miss the turn. So if I miss this turn, I'm just going to go up 2 miles. I can turn around here and come back.
Try going down a dead-end street with a set of doubles, and you weren't expecting it, and you got to break the whole set apart
and turn everything around.
Yeah. That's the only way to get it out, because there's no other way to get it out.
Yeah.
But you can't panic about it. I mean, what are you going to do? Just run it into a fence or through somebody's property? That's silly.
Stop, flashers on. And I have a friend that's a police officer in Carrollton area. She sent me a message a while back, like, "Hey, what can we use to help truckers who get stuck?" It happens every week, she said. Somebody takes an exit off of 635 up there, goes down a street, finds themselves stuck, and then they're screwed. So either they call the cops or somebody calls the cops on them
to try and get them out.
9 times out of 10, they don't even open up like a satellite image to see where they're at. And that's always baffled me. Like, even if I'm at a shipper receiver that's large, I was at one this morning. I'm like, okay, I pulled up to the gate, and it's unusual that they just let me in. They didn't ask for any numbers, anything. And I'm like, "You guys need anything?" They're like, "No, just, you know where to go?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Just go down and take the third left." I'm like, okay. There's a lot of empty trailers all around this place. So I go, I find where I'm going, I deliver. Now, how do I get out? So I'm sitting there when he's still unloading pallets off of the back of this trailer. I'm on satellite image looking at where I'm
trying to figure out how you can get around and get out. Yep.
Yeah, and it was literally just left, and a right, and squeeze past some cars with this.
I even do Google satellites in truck stops when I'm oversized as to what's the most efficient way out of here in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, before I forget, when you see God prefers diesel, hey, God prefers diesel at TTR, because the question came up, what's up with the nubby finger? What happened there, bro?
Alligator. No.
Really?
This came up from somebody? Where did this come up?
He had a thread where he had a part in his hand, and he was missing just like the end of his finger. And then the story started about how everybody lost their fingers.
Yeah.
It went from table saws to blood it was a mess.
I told you what happened, right?
I think you did, but I've forgotten now.
Went through the rear sprocket of a motorcycle.
Rear sprocket of a motorcycle.
1983 Honda. The hell was that thing? I can't remember.
A motorcycle.
A little sport bike that I had, VFR 500 or something like that. That was my only transportation for 3 years. I rode a motorcycle, and I was lubing the chain. I was stationed in Guam. I had it up on the center stand, and I had the idle turned down and was lubing the chain and then slowly wiping it off so it didn't get on my pretty paint job. And the sponge caught and sucked my hand into the sprocket. It went around, and it did not chop the finger off. It just shredded it. And
man,
it broke the bone a little bit, but literally the meat was mincemeat. So I'm friends like on Facebook with a lot of my old squatter mates. You know, it was a Sunday. They hauled me to the hospital. I went into the normal clinic at NES at Ganya, Guam, which I think is closed down now. They shipped me over to Naval Hospital, Guam, and it was Labor Day weekend. Not a single doctor in there.
Uh-oh.
So they gave me a bowl of betadine and told me to soak my finger in it in the waiting room. And they called the doctor. The doctor came 5 hours later. My finger was black. And he said, dude, I can't fix that shit. He said it a little nicer than that, but he gave me the choice if I wanted to cut it off here or here. And or try to fix it, which he said would not heal.
Would not
and
work.
Just get infected. So
yeah.
I'm like, dude, I have things to do.
Take it off down here.
So I was wide awake. They did a nerve block. They took some. So later on, when I started repairing medical instruments,
Yep.
I had to sharpen bone cutters. So I had to test them. I that's what cut my finger off, was bone cutters. So when I was awake, he cut the first digit off.
Ooh.
It sounds just like pruning a piece of like a tree.
Like a pear tree.
And then he's like, okay, here goes the other one. Click. And I remember thinking, that sucks. When you lose a little piece of your body, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But, you know, they kept me in the hospital 7 damn days, which drove me crazy. So I got a pass to roam the hallways.
Yeah.
And then my buddy brought my motorcycle to the hospital. So I went to the bar with my scrubs on, like my hospital get up. I went to the bar and drank a couple beers, went back to the hospital. They're like, how was your walk? It was
good.
Awesome. It was awesome.
Awesome.
I had a great time. But I was literally going crazy. I don't like sitting there. That's the finger story.
That's the finger story. Dude, I gotta shut you up. You just never stop talking.
I'm sorry, man.
I'm
telling you, I told him not to interview
You're
me.
into a 3-part miniseries.
I'm sorry.
Have we covered everything?
Yeah. If you start your own authority, or if you lease onto somebody, have your savings shit in order. That is what has saved me. Is I paid cash for everything. I know people say finance this, do that, but man, if I had a truck finance right now, it would be driving me nuts. The peace of mind of having everything paid for. If fuel goes up to $10 a gallon, I can park this
Park it
thing.
at the house.
Deactivate my insurance, to go work for somebody else, or live off the fat of the land, because we may all be there soon. I mean, if I had a payment and lost things, it would kill. It would, like, mentally would really affect me. So with my wife getting sick, with my eye surgery, with my little fiasco getting parts during an ice storm,
you need room to breathe.
yeah, it gives you
And
that peace of mind.
Cash
like,
up front gives you that.
I ran a load to Amarillo and back. I got a load coming back. Amarillo's not the greatest place, but I got paid well going there. I got paid decent coming back. My wife has a procedure on Thursday or Friday. We don't remember now.
God, she can't remember.
We can't remember. But I'll be home until she feels right. Like, I'm fine with it. And
that'll be parked in the driveway.
that'll be parked either at my truck parking, or a lot of times if I'm gonna be there for a week or so, I'll unhook, park my pickup in front of the trailer, drive my truck home and tinker with it. I'm in the process of putting some lights on it, and
Somebody convinced you that was a good idea to start playing with some oversize, right?
yeah, and yeah.
That's episode 7.
Well, we should talk about, if you have time, you're
Go.
the boss.
Go.
But treating people with respect, I think, goes a long way. I learned that a lot from you, and kind of my personality is to, when I meet somebody, I try to treat them, doesn't matter what their nationality is, if they're a man or a woman, a young kid. To me, that stuff, I don't really look at that part of a person. I kind of listen to what they have to say, and I try to kind of learn from them. But treating people with respect, when you go to a receiver or a shipper, and it doesn't matter who you're talking to, because you don't know what kind of authority they hold in that company. And since I've been driving, I've seen so many dudes that have literally, you go to pick up something, and I'm the second truck, and they're getting loaded, but it's taking a while, and they start ranting at the forklift driver. Meanwhile, the forklift driver is being careful and is not banging up your trailer, and he's working as hard as he can. This dude's up there bitching, blah blah blah. I gotta go. Always some dude from Chicago or something. I don't know. I gotta go. And meanwhile, those dudes end up getting pissed at him, and they just start slowing down. And I've had it happen multiple times. Well, they'll stop loading that dude and come say, "Hey, I'm gonna start loading you right now." Or, "Do you want to take this part? It's easy." Sure. I watched the guy get loaded with so much crap in Florida once. I was behind him. He started bitching halfway through. They were gonna load half of that on my truck, and we were gonna split this harder stuff.
Yep.
Lo and behold, the guy comes up to me. He's like, I'm like, "Don't worry about him, man. He's just a little crazy." He goes, "Dude, I'm gonna load a 20-foot container that was empty and one pallet on my trailer." Boom. I was done and gone. That poor dude, he was still tying shit down. And you know what? He deserved every bit of that. Like,
because of the attitude.
Those guys.
Yeah.
There wasn't just one forklift driver. It was a crew of 4 guys
trying to get things together, done and out the door.
You run into that, but you don't have to get run over. Like, I've had dudes take a while, and I'll watch them. If they're working hard, I just leave them alone. You cannot speed people up if they're working hard already. It's when they're dicking around that you kind of
nudge them along somehow.
Yeah, and I always do it tactfully at first. I have been like, "Hey, I'm about to leave. Like, whatever you have loaded can come off. I'm gonna leave. If you don't, I'll call the broker, and I'm like, if you don't call these guys and tell them, I'm literally about to have them unload everything." And then they'll make a phone call. Those dudes will come apologize, because I've been nice to them the whole time.
Right. Always keep you cool.
And this direct shipper that I just started hauling for.
So that's another thing is barely 2 years in, and just from attitude and good practices, he's picked himself up a direct shipper out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area that pays pretty gosh darn good. So he's got an inroad there, which means that only maybe 40 or 50% of his loads have to come from brokers. And that's a big step, and a lot of it just comes from, like you said, treating people right.
The story with that is the forklift driver is in charge of loading all the trucks. There's only 2 guys that load trucks at this place. One helps put dunnage up and kind of straightens things out and keeps the forklift lined up. The other guy's the forklift driver.
Picks some loads.
If you didn't take time to get to know those dudes, they're just forklift drivers. Yep. Or helpers.
But you wouldn't realize what weight and pull they have in the company.
Yeah. So what was it? 3 or 4 times I went in there, and I talked to the guy the first time a little bit, but he had told me it takes us a while to load stuff here. Please be patient. No worries, dude. I had a whole weekend to get a load 1,000 miles. I wasn't in a hurry. I was going to go park at home anyways and then leave the next day. So don't worry about me, dude. Take care of your stuff. I'm right here when you're ready. It didn't take him that long to load me either. It wasn't as bad as what he thought it was going to be. So fast forward, I go pick up another load. It's one of those ones you got to piece together and really be careful with. And when that was all over with, he said, "Dude, I appreciate you, man. You don't know what some truckers say to us while they're here." He said, I'm the one that picks trucks most of the time. I go up to the lady, she calls you because I asked her to call you. People don't realize that when they come here, and they've called me so many names, and they'll never come back. Literally, I'll never have them back here again. I'm not going to use the racial terms they've called him. And it just kind of shocked me that a dude that's getting paid by a company is going to treat the company employees like that. And they're busting ass. That's what bothered me about it. So
they got a difficult job to do as well.
Yeah, I mean they're loading steel on your truck that could kill somebody, and I had the conversation with them. One of the loads I took for them, we had to put some extra bracing up there because I had to climb up on the load and look at it. And I'm like, hey dude, there's no way I'm gonna build, that piece right there is not gonna stay on my truck. So can we like throw either some dunnage under it or on top of it? So when I strap it down, it's gonna stay. He's like, oh yeah, man. They're busting ass getting this. The dude's climbing up on the loads, you know. It's like, anybody watch those and call them lazy? It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
You know? So this bit of respect, you know, the last time I was there, it's like, hey dude, we're a team, man. If something falls off this truck, he'll take the blame and I'll take the blame. It's on both of us.
And long story short, you wound up getting a carrier packet sent to you straight from the shipper.
A vendor packet, yeah.
Yep.
So I think there's so much shady stuff happening. I mean, guys drive trucks and they get stuck in a truck for weeks at a time, working for a company. Everybody has different feelings on where they're at that day or whatever. So I'm not like a psychologist or anything, but I see why people get the way they get. But you know, the truck stop, trash everywhere, the attitude that people have when you say hello to them. You have said, hey, when I see somebody walking in or out of the truck stop, I'm walking by them, I'm gonna look them in the eye and tell them hello.
Hi, good morning.
How you doing?
How you doing?
And I'm surprised at, like, literally the look that you get back is sometimes like shocked that you even said something to them.
Yeah.
Some don't answer, and you just got to let them go. But you'll have nearly over half will be like, hey man, how you doing? You know, and they're shocked that somebody talked to them at a truck stop. And I guarantee you, those aren't the dudes dumping trash. You know, they just don't have that personality. Whereas, as you know, I mean, I hate trash, people throwing trash around, and I hate people blocking me in.
Oh, wait, hang on a second.
Nobody's gonna want to watch all this shit.
I'm gonna put it out there anyway. I think it's fascinating. So, maybe there's some things that have annoyed you about the trucking industry so far. We've had conversations about this before, and
yeah.
You're a big guy. Can you stand up for a second, Stacy?
They saw me getting out of the truck.
No, stand up for a second.
I'm getting old and fat.
Stand up. So, kind of a big dude. Are we going to have an argument with this fella here?
Somebody would. Somebody would.
So, not a lot peeves you. You don't get that excited anymore. But there's one thing that really grinds your gears. What's that?
It's when you're parked at a truck stop and a dude rolls in on a 30-minute break or is going to swap trailers and blocks you. Like, I like just
like we're parked like this, and somebody rolls in like about, I don't know, 30 feet in front of you, and dollies down, disconnects right there.
Yeah, and you're sitting in the truck, it's running. It might be 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I like to get up early and run and then park early because, hey, I drive a flatbed and I don't have years of experience, so I don't like parking this thing at a Love's. So I try to get where I'm going early. Doesn't always work out, but you know, I've had, I don't know how many times, I've had dudes back their trailer up to the nose of my truck. They have moved when I've asked them, but I'm like, why would you do that? Yeah, there's nowhere else, but if you see me sitting in there, go say, hey man, I'm gonna take a 30. Like, I'm not going anywhere, dude. Let me move and you can back into my spot.
Was there a gal that did this to you before that you maybe went and approached?
Should I mention the name of the company?
You should actually.
So I went to a truck stop in Oklahoma. I parked there 3 times maybe. It's a decent truck stop. It's got a good restaurant. It's got decent parking. It's not huge. I always park at the back. I never park at the front of the truck stop. I'm getting old and fat, so I like to walk. Plus, after driving all day, you want to walk. So I park as far away as I can. And inevitably, FedEx or Estes will park in front of you and start doing trailer swaps. If I'm not going anywhere, I don't care. But again, I like to wake up at 1 or 2 a.m. So this has happened every time I go to this truck stop. FedEx or Estes blocks the exit. You can't get out of it. And every time it pisses me off. Well, I guess after so many times of this happening, I had enough. And I saw the Estes dude coming in, and he was going to take the last spot, and I flipped my headlights on. So when he came around,
like I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Yep.
I realize a lot of dudes leave their headlights on now when they shouldn't. But to me, headlights on is a sign that
I'm ready to go.
not staying.
Yep.
Dude went boom right in there with all his other Estes brothers. There was 4 of them. You could not get by. For me to pull out, I couldn't even like pull out and turn right at all because of where their trailers were staged. So I'm pissed already, because it's happened multiple times. And then I get out and I go storming up there like I'm pissed off now. It's funny now that I think about it, but I go racing up there looking for an Estes driver to sit in the seat, so I can I'm sorry.
Give him the business.
I'm giving the business. And my mind is telling me, dude, maybe it's my heart. My heart might be telling me, be cool, dude. Just go ask him. But my mind is telling me, go knock on some damn doors, right? So the prior time at this truck stop, an LTL guy was parked in front of me. He was taking a nap. I'm cool with that. Tap, tap. Dude, can you please pull up? I got to get out of here. He pulls up, I get out. But the thought that I had to do that, to me, just kind of already torques me off, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm thinking, as I'm walking up to the front of these trucks, that I'm going to be cool, and I'm just going to ask them, can you pull up about 30 feet?
20 feet, 30 feet.
I can get out of here,
Let me get out.
man, please. I go around the front. There's a chick sitting in the cab. She's eating fucking
Pringles.
She's eating Pringles. Like, what a Pringle looks like, right? She's eating Pringles.
Wavy chip.
And, oh yeah. And as soon as she sees me, she looks down for a second. So she looked right in my eyes. As soon as she sees me, she must have thought I wanted to take her on a date or something. She's like eating her damn Pringles, right? So then I got fucking pissed. Like, it's on now.
Didn't she wave you off with the Pringle?
After I waved at her, to get her attention, she took a Pringle and she went, get the F out of here, dude.
Ballistic!
Hey.
DEFCON 5.
It was Tony Soprano time. I called her every name a dude should not call a woman, and I felt bad about it afterwards. But I'm total disrespect. And then I started looking for other Estes drivers. It's now on. Where's Estes? So I start walking towards the truck stop. They must be inside there. It's a small truck stop. One of them comes walking out. They got the Estes uniform. To this guy's credit, his first time at the truck stop, he was cool. I said, hey, are you from Estes? He said, yeah. I'm like, why the F do you guys got to block everybody, man? Look at it. There's no exit. We're stuck. People want to leave. He's like, I'm sorry, man. I'll talk to the other drivers. It's my first time here. I came in the wrong way. I'm like, I watched you come in. I turned my headlights on so you wouldn't block me. He goes, I didn't see you, So we had a civil conversation. He claimed he was going to tell the other drivers. And before I could let him go, I had to tell him about the chick in the cab of the other Estes truck. And I honestly thought about going out the exit, coming in the other side of the truck stop, and nosing up to her and sitting there. Because I didn't need to be anywhere anytime quick. I just was going home.
Just a jack with a set of doubles.
Yeah.
Because of the way she treated you.
But then I thought, again, I got to treat people with respect.
Respect.
So once the one dude pulled up, I was able to squeeze out of there, and I was on my way. And the whole way down through Oklahoma, I'm thinking, I'm going to set the cruise at 62 and wait for them to roll up at 65 or whatever it is. I will recognize her
Oh, you had a vendetta going at this stage, didn't you?
And then I'm like, no, I'm not.
No, don't
70,
do that.
let's go.
Yep.
You know?
Leave it behind. That was yesterday.
Yeah. So that's one of my things is like, it has to do with respect. I realize sometimes the truck stop's full, but come on, man.
That's
like,
changed a lot in the last since I've been driving for a couple of weeks.
I've seen some phenomenal people out here, man, and I've seen some people that I would not let water my lawn.
Wouldn't pee on if they were on fire.
And you know, it is what it is. But you know, I've had other jobs where it's the same thing, where you know, you work at a grocery store and you got 40 employees in there, and there's 10 that are good.
I worked at a grocery store. It's the clientele that comes in is usually the problem.
Yeah.
Here's one like mine.
Yeah. I love the grocery store. When I worked at the grocery store I was at in New Mexico, I wanted out of Los Lunas. I'd like expired my time there, and so many people are stuck there for life. They just don't leave. And I thought my only way out was the military. And that's a nice truck.
Yeah.
So before I actually entered into the Navy and boot camp, I actually started loving that job. Like I worked with people that like were just, they treated me well when they probably shouldn't have, when I was kind of an idiot, you know, young,
yep.
And they kind of saw through that, and you know, I was a bad kid, man. I caused a lot of problems.
That's hard to see now, because I think you're a pretty good dude.
You know, I was working my way into jail, you know, or something. And
no, I still can't see it.
I always think that my mother and my father also, my father was hardcore disciplined. My mother was just a very kind person, and I'm fortunate that in these days that I inherited a lot of her kindness. Like I see a lot of things through her eyes, luckily. Not always. Sometimes my dad was rough and tumble, so I'm like, I can flip into him real easy, so I have to be really careful.
That's where the timber comes from.
Yeah.
You inherited your mother's kind heart.
And you know, I went to Scared Straight when I was a kid.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Oh damn. You were a little badass.
My friends and I got caught robbing trains. Boxcars. I told you that story, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Dumb, stupid. I would never do it again. But we thought, in my mind, we weren't stealing. We were just drinking their wine. So we would break into the boxcar and find wine and just steal like 6 cases of wine, and we would have bonfires.
Right.
And then we would get peaches out of the next boxcar, and we would mix the peaches with the wine.
That's cool. That's called train robbery, I think.
We had some badass bonfires. We in my opinion, we were there at his house. He lived right next to the tracks. We weren't out running the streets at that point. We're at his house, you know, and his parents were like, do whatever you want, just don't kill anybody. And, you know, one day my buddy stole some TVs and sold them at the flea market, and, you know, they got busted, and then they ratted me out, which I deserved, but I would never steal a TV. But that led to...
Well, you weren't stealing it out of somebody's house. You were stealing it off...
Well, I still would not have taken TVs. Like, that was above and beyond my threshold of what I would call okay. Like, that's just not okay. To me, the wine, I was fine with it.
Peaches
for whatever
and the wine
reason.
were good.
And stewed tomatoes once. We got a few cases of stewed tomatoes, and his mom made some spaghetti.
Made some lasagna and spaghetti.
Yeah. But you know, looking back on it, it caused me to lose the ability to do certain things in the Navy. So it taught me a lesson. But between my father being hardcore, and when I told my dad the truth, I was safe. If I peeped a lie and he found out, my ass was done.
Dead. Yep.
And my mother, she was kind of the same way. If I lied to her, she would, like, you know, it would hurt her heart, and that kind of kept me in line as much as it could. But
you didn't want to hurt her.
The testosterone or whatever I had flowing through me at the time wasn't enough to keep me from being afraid of my dad at that point, or worried about my mom. And then when the court system got involved and they sentenced me to scared straight, I had to go to prison and listen to the dudes. Like, I told you,
Tell the horror stories.
Yeah, dude sitting next to me, like, here he is with a cast on his arm. I'm sitting right here, another dude with tattoos everywhere on the other side. And they just, dude sat down and told me, basically, if you smirk, I'm going to beat your ass with this cast. Like,
Yep.
I don't care. I'm going to be here for life, And when you see it on TV and you see the kids crying, you laugh. I thought me and my buddies were going to come out there thinking this is the funniest thing we've ever been through.
Not so much.
Every single one of us got it. Like, we were fortunate. Those dudes that, like, I wish I could see the dude with the cast again in my life
And say thank you.
Because that dude scared me. The dude next to him looked like he would slice your throat in a second. And I grew up in, just south of Albuquerque where, you flip somebody off, it's a fight. Like, there's not a lot of back down in a lot of people in Albuquerque. At least there wasn't at that time. And a sure way to fight is just bow up to somebody. Like, there was no backing down at that point. It was a fight. And so, when these dudes told me this, there was no reason not to believe them, And they're like, hey, please come back. Please keep getting in trouble. We want to see you in here. Like, please come back so we can beat your ass. Like,
Yeah.
And I must have just had that look on my face, like, it's not going to bother me. You guys can't get to me. And maybe at the time I was a big kid, and I got the nickname Cocky when I was in 6th grade.
Oh, really?
For giving shit to a teacher. And it wasn't that I wanted to harass a teacher, but I could not sit still in a classroom for an hour without something to release my mind. I was a horrible student. So
which is odd because of the field you went into with the aviation, especially being a teacher for so long.
Well, part of that,
it takes patience.
Part of that was I had so many bad teachers in my life that simply threw out stuff but didn't really teach. And it's like you riding with me in my truck and saying, hey, try this.
Yep.
And I'm like, damn,
Not just smacking you on the head and saying, don't do that.
I told you.
Do that better.
I told you, click, shift. Or click, put, shift. Whatever. And you weren't like that. And you were like, hey, try this. And then lo and behold, not that I did it perfect that time, but the next time or the next time or the next time.
Starts flowing into...
That ringing through. And Gretchen telling me to go be the slowest guy. Don't be the guy at the truck stop racing through there.
Smooth as fast.
Be the slowest guy. Don't be the guy that's going to kill somebody. And, that rang true. Like, I still hear her voice. It's like, it got through to me, So when people are just like going to teach versus just tell you things, it seems to work out better. And here's the kicker. Those kids of us that got in trouble that time, one of them died. He continued to use drugs. Like, I wasn't a drug user as a kid. I just drank alcohol. But he got into drugs, and he was a truck driver, believe it or not. He drove for Grundyke or whatever, delivering fuel.
Yep.
That guy smoked more weed than anybody known to man, and meth or speed or crack or whatever he was on. He was crazy by the time he kicked off. Still drove a truck, And I can imagine him flying through the truck stop. Got to get that fuel there, But he died. The other friends I was with all became police officers. And
really,
yeah, we had a reunion a few years ago, and one of the things my buddy said was, having done the stupid shit we did as a kid, kind of, and where we're at now, when I have a teenager that's doing stupid shit, I'm there with them. Like, I understand. Like, there might be shit going on in his life that, he's not a bad kid. It's just
he's reacting
it's his only outlet.
Yep.
And Los Lunas, New Mexico, there wasn't a ton of things to do as an outlet. And I had always like had a job when I wasn't at school, and you know, even as I got older and I worked, I still did dumb things as I was, you know, after I got off work or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Some of them were just kid stuff, and then, you know, some of it was like, you know, me and my buddy went into a bathroom and just tore it up for no reason. And
Now that's stupid.
yeah.
I'll tell you that.
And I still feel bad about it today. And, you know, what can I do about it? Not a damn thing.
Right.
But, God, you know, if my child had done that, my dad never found out about that, you know. My dad would have whooped my ass, like real whoop ass, like not a belt whooping,
A good beating.
whooping.
A
And
man beating.
My dad was tough up into his final days, and I fought my dad multiple times. I fought him once where I thought I kicked him, and I thought I got him, like I got your ass now. You know, I even told him, see, don't F with me.
Don't F with me, yeah.
Kicked him right in the chest, knocked him down. And I'm like, today's the day, you know, that I'm the king and you're not. In about 25 seconds, my thoughts had changed. He flew up and literally punched me. I've never been punched harder in my life. And knocked me about 8 feet across the room, and fight was over.
That was it.
That was it.
I'm done, Dad. I'm done.
My mother saved my life that day.
Oh, she pulled him off?
Yeah, that's probably the last time we actually fought, because I'm like, I gave him my best, and I fought all the time as a teenager. Like,
right.
I'd fight anybody.
You thought you were badass then?
Even my friends are like, dude, if somebody wanted to fight you, you didn't care. You just fight. Like 20-year-olds, you didn't care. Like I had a dude in a car follow us in the bus, and because I was probably doing stupid shit out the back window, and we got off at the bus stop, and he was like, he was a low rider. Like, I was prevalent in Albuquerque, Los Lunas at the time. He pulled his car over, and he was like, you know, hey, Vato, or whatever. I'm just joking about that, but whatever words he used, cussing us out, and he was gonna whoop our ass.
Yeah.
I don't think he expected that. Let's go, bro.
Right.
Like, I'm all about it. My brothers taught me how to fight when I was young, and they staged fights. Like, we had stage fights at the bus stop. I mean, it was like, my brother can kick your brother's ass. It was like that. Like, let's go down. Like, it was craziness because we didn't
rough and tumble childhood.
Nothing else to do. It was just dumb, you know. And I don't understand it today. If my daughter came home with that kind of stuff, I'd be like, what? You know, there's no way. But I mean, it also, like, nowadays, I try to keep my temper in check all the time.
You gotta watch it with the driving and just anywhere nowadays. Well, you can't. There's always going to be somebody out there that's a bit crazier than you. Yeah. That's ready to lose their life or go to jail over some really stupid stuff. Yeah.
Well, when I drive, I'm different. Like, I for whatever reason, somebody cut me off is just seconds of what the hell are you doing, or that was dumb. It doesn't linger with me. It's right. Probably when I'm sitting here and this dude's up there and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, he's gonna move any minute. You know, 30 minutes go by. I've done pre-trip my truck. I've walked around. I used to take my dog with me. I would walk him down the aisle, you know, and I come back and they're still there. And I'm like, why would you do that? You know?
Well, correct response, like I said the other day, is to go and walk up and say, hey, I'm about fixing to leave. Do you want the spot? You know? Yeah. That used to be commonplace too, was you'd call out on the radio, packed truck stop, and say, hey, I'm fixing to pull out here. Anybody looking for a parking spot? And everybody have their radios on then. Oh, sure, man, I appreciate it. Where are you at? And you'd flash your lights and you'd pull out and they'd pull in, and it'd be great. But that doesn't kind of happen now anymore.
I hear it occasionally. Guys will call it out occasionally.
Hey, you need a parking spot? Ready to pull out.
You know, it's like those Estes guys. They don't have a CB.
Nah,
and,
not anymore.
And I've met some good dudes from Estes. Like, I sometimes will talk to dudes in the fuel aisle or just out here. I'm not as outgoing as you, or like I'll talk to just about anybody, but you know, if I'm out here, like I talked to a guy that hauls trailers in Socorro, New Mexico once, you know, for an hour, just outside his truck and my truck. And
Yeah, I tell you, learn stuff.
yeah, talking about how he loaded his trailers, because I had no clue how they get like those 3 trailers on.
Well, Stacy, I'm going to have to end the video here, at least.
I'm sorry I talked so much.
That's all right.